Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of School Life Ready Talks. I am Dr. Cecelia Lynch Mitchell, Pediatric Occupational Therapist, and I am here as usual with my co host, Jen.
Hello.
And tonight we will be digging into a very important topic, one that I get asked a lot about from parents, and I know Jen has had uh, many years of experience with this topic, and that is how we're communicating with school staff as parents. Like, how do we communicate effectively and advocate for our children with the school staff? So that's our topic for tonight. But before we get into it, let's just talk about how our week has been. Jen, how has your week been this week?
So it's been a pretty rough week. I know it just started, but my kids were going to an after school program at their school, and transitioning to come home was challenging, and it was difficult to get him to comply and do anything, including eat. So I gave him an ultimatum this weekend. I said, I'm going to give you another week. And if we still aren't getting it together, then we're going to have to pull you out. I'm very grateful that I'm able to do that with my job right now. But so, yes, so today was the first day, and we had problems getting him into speech, but he then was able to turn it around. And his therapist said that he had an amazing day. Like, he did everything that he was supposed to do. So like I said, it's been pretty rough. My youngest he loves his brother so much, and just also left the program because he didn't want his brother to be alone. So now I'm, busy trying to find an after-school activity that they can, that makes sense for our family dynamic.
Oh, for both. So both of them will be in after school. So the issue that your older son had was with transitioning
Right.
from the after school program
Mm-hmm.
to his speech therapy and other things after school, or
Um,
was it transitioning in from regular school to the after school? Where,
no,
where was the breakdown?
so the issue is getting him to leave the program.
Oh, to leave the after
Yeah,
school program.
yeah,
Oh,
it
so he didn't
just
want to
kept,
go home. He
no,
didn't
he did
want to go
not want to
back.
go home.
So he was enjoying the after school program
He very much so, and I love that, but we
for
have
the
so many
transition.
therapies outside of school that we have to keep up with, and I couldn't pick him up at the time that he wished I could, and I ultimately decided that it was best for me to pull them out, if you will, and we're going to try a different activity, and it's new, but it's called Ninja Warriors, and so it's a lot of pulling and using their own bodies for strength, and I think that that's going to be beneficial for him, and I'm able to make it work, and it's a lot cheaper, so I'm saving a lot of money.
So the Ninja Warriors would be like an after school activity that both boys can go to.
Correct.
Okay, so that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. The most important thing is that they are engaged in something after school.
Yes,
And
that's what I
so,
didn't want. So I've been very stressed and worried about, what I was going to do with my schedule. And then he has ABA, so that was something. But like I said, the behaviors were just, it took 3 teachers to get him to come out yesterday. And I was like, we're done. Like, this is where we cannot be peeling you off of the playground.
right.
So yeah, that it took about 30 minutes of me standing in the hallway waiting for him. So
Okay.
we were done.
So that happened yesterday. You had the talk and you told them of what the consequences were going to be if it were to happen again, and today worked out well.
No, so those behaviors had started from the beginning of school. And
Okay.
I gave him 2 weeks to turn it around. So I gave him ample amount of time. And then he
So
promised me that
did he take the full two? You gave him 2 weeks, and he took the full 2 weeks?
he took the full 2 weeks on Friday. So, okay, here's the issue. Once you get into the program, it's an after school program through our schools, and they first do homework, and after they're done with homework, they're able to go play on the playground. Well, I was coming in that in between time where he wasn't getting enough playground time, and that's where we were seeing the behaviors.
Right.
There's nothing that I get it. Like, I would constantly tell him, I get it. I hear you. I would be frustrated too. I tried talking to the school and asking them if there's any way that he can go outside and play. They said, they're shorthand after school, so it makes sense. And they don't have a parapro. I'm sorry, he does have a parapro, but she's also working with other students that are in there. And so over the weekend, we had many conversations about it. And then he did it again yesterday. And so, I feel like I did all of the right steps, and I gave him his notice, and he promised me and broke the promise.
So to yesterday that happened. What happened today that was different?
Oh, he wanted to stay to go to the playground. So he was a car rider today.
Oh, so you changed the time that you picked him up?
Oh, he's no longer going to the after school program, which is why I said I'm saving money.
Because he cannot, so he's no longer going. Now, is he no longer going? Just because he is not able to hold it together following the after school routine, or is it both that and the fact that you found an alternative that's cheaper?
I would say that it's the fact that he couldn't pull it together.
Okay.
And then I had to pivot and find an alternative. That's just the truth. But still, I mean, he was he was really only spending max amount of time at after school was 45 minutes. So it really wasn't even worth the money that I'm,
and the aggravation.
Oh God, it was horrible. It's like, I miss my baby so much. I'm so excited to pick you up. And he's like, I hate you. Go away. Don't come. Come later. I want to be the last one here.
Yeah, but that's because he was having so much fun there.
I know.
And it's hard. It's hard for them to understand, okay, I'm having fun, but I must stop now because this is the optimal time for mom to pick me up, and mom has other things to do, and I have other therapists to go to. So it's hard. I think you did the right thing.
Thank you.
But yeah, you did the right thing to find an alternative, because there's no way it would take a while for him to really understand that it's not that I don't want you to play. It's just that you have to stop playing in the middle of it. So I think the good thing is that you were able to find an alternative that worked better with your schedule and meet the needs that you have for your children and for your personal life as well. So that's good. I'm glad that I hope. So what this Ninja Warriors, which what does it entail?
Yeah. So are you familiar with the Ninja Warriors? Like, it was a big thing on TV where they would do like a lot of parkour, like pulling themselves up. I think it's very similar to yoga and Pilates because we use our own strength and muscles, to get through these challenges. And that's exactly what it is. You're just like, it's going to the playground and constantly pulling yourself up, running and dashing off of things. And think of like Spider-Man, like, going upside down and just all the fun things. So
cool. You know what? That type of activity for both your boys would be a real good sensory motor activity for them to participate in. And I think they'll benefit a lot because it's given them all those motor input, sensory input, motor planning, focusing, attention, all those different components.
And not just that, but they also build strength. Like they're building their own muscles. They're probably going to be more hungry, and that's going to, you know, more protein intake. And because my kids are growing up, not out. So I'm very worried about that too.
Right. I think it'll be a great activity.
Thank you.
I think so. I think it will really work. I think they will both enjoy it.
Me too.
And at least now you don't have to worry about all those meltdowns it's not like you just had that one child, because when the older one is having all these meltdowns, your younger one is standing there, and soon he'll be doing something to get your attention too as well, because you're paying so much attention and getting this other child together. So I think that was really a really good idea, trying a program like that. So all right, so next week we will find out how that worked out for
it'll be in 2 weeks, because it's
okay, 2 weeks. Okay, we'll check back on that in 2 weeks to find out how the Ninja Warriors program worked for Jen. So
thank you.
We'll see. So all right, so tonight's topic, back in the days, parents used to be able to come into the schools and into the classroom while different kids were in class, and parents would have a better ability to see how their kids their kids or their child is doing in class. But with the privacy rights of other students, coming into play, like the teachers and staff and even other parents are like, okay, the whole idea of a parent sitting in the classroom when my child is in there, that would be
trigger.
Yeah, and not only that, like infringing on their rights, their right to privacy, because you don't want to be in the classroom and Johnny's your child, but you see Susie over there, and you can see everything that Susie's doing. So that means that privacy laws came into play, as well as now all visitors have to get signed into school, and there's so much more security with school. So we really don't have parents being allowed in classrooms like that as much as we used to. So now parents have to find out, how their child is doing. So it's very important for parents to communicate with their teachers and other school providers to know how their child is doing, right? So for a lot of parents, they feel sometimes like the teachers only call them when things are going wrong, so a lot of parents don't like that. Sometimes the parents feel dismissed, like their concerns are not worthy of being a concern, because you're coming from two different places. And there are times when parents just feel like school is against them, the staff is against them and against their kids. A lot of times I've had parents who feel like the teacher doesn't like their kid, and I can tell you, parents, 9 times out of 10 you're wrong about that. Most teachers do love your kids, truly love your kids. So, but it is a concern for parents that they're not able to communicate with staff as much as they would like to. So have you had, in your years, any situations where you feel like school was against you, or you didn't feel like the teacher had your child's best interests at heart, Jen?
Yeah, I mean, so I have experiences on both sides. I've had times where I've left meetings in tears, just, upset, enraged, felt unheard. And then I've had meetings where I know that the teacher truly cares. She's a part of our family, if you will. Like, my kids spend so much time with these people. I truly I try to spoil them as much as I can because, what they're doing is so amazing. And they take our kids for free for 6 hours. Like, God bless you. So yes, I've had both experiences on both sides.
Yeah, it's really good, and it's so much more beneficial when parents feel comfortable talking to the teachers. Teachers feel comfortable calling the parents to express concerns themselves, because a lot of times teachers are also timid to call, or to let you know about concerns they're having, because they just don't know how you're going to react. And then too, especially this time of the year that we're just so new,
Yeah.
like parents, teachers don't really know how to bring things up to parents, and parents don't really know how to bring things up to teachers. So tonight I'm going to go through like little tips as how to get your communication off to a good start,
Yeah.
and how to keep your communication going. Because with any relationship, communication is key. So we have to have an open communication, and we have to have good communication with staff and parents. So my first tip would be set the tone early, right? So right now, this is the beginning of the school year. For a lot of places, especially in the South, where we're in the beginning of the school year, make sure when you get those open house invitations or meet the teacher invitations, try your utmost best to go. If both parents can't attend, make sure that at least one parent can attend, right? Because those are the first planned events for the beginning of the communication. Open
And
house and meet the teacher.
And I'd like to add that sending your nanny does not count. Guys, we have to try. Like it's the beginning of a relationship. And I've seen parents send in nannies and it just doesn't make sense because that's not the parent. And you have to, like you said, start the tone and want to have a great relationship with the parent, not the nanny.
Right. So if your nanny is not the one who's going to be going to the IEP meetings, or going to make sure that they're following through on your child's schoolwork, and yeah, I agree with Jen. Do not send the nanny. Do not. I love that. Don't send the nanny. Try to have at least one of the parents go. Right.
Yeah.
So you do those events. Also, if you can't make, so you try those. For God forbid you can't go, your spouse can't go, then send an introductory email, just introducing yourself, your child. Do a little bit of, just give them your phone number, just little something like that, so they know that you're there,
Yeah.
you're involved,
I
right?
do that even before we go to our IEPs, or I'm sorry, open houses or meet the teachers. As soon as I know who their teacher is, I send an introductory email and just let them know their strengths, their weaknesses, how to get over resolution or how to resolve conflict, what works for them. And I ask them if there's anything that isn't on the school supply list that they need, just please let me know because I will do the best that I can to, get it for them.
Awesome. That's right. So setting the tone, guys, from day one,
Right.
right? You don't want to wait till there's an issue, that's when you're going to be like, hi, I'm Johnny's mom, I heard this happened. That's not going to work. Let them know who you are, start the communication, be nice, like how Jen said. If there's anything on this list that I can supply, um, supply. Also, the most schools have a homeschool communication system, a digital system, wherein the teacher can communicate with you and send you different notifications to keep you abreast of what's going on in the class, to let you know what's coming up and how you can participate. Sign up. Normally there are apps. They have different names. Different school districts have different names. Those are like apps that you sign up, you put in your student number and name, and all the communications would come to you about what's going on in the school. And there are places in there where you can send messages. So make sure you sign up for those apps.
I'd like to just make a comment that because I have two kids, one is on the spectrum and one is in a general ed classroom. And I've never been able to get a special ed teacher to actually utilize those apps. And I believe that it's because there's so much going on in the classrooms, like a lot of elopement or dangerous activities, that they do not have the manpower to also be on their phones texting. So I just want to put that out there, that I know with my special needs child, that never works for us. It's just about emailing. With my other child, I get pictures, I get videos. I feel like I'm in the classroom because they're constantly posting. So there is a difference there.
And I think a lot of times the special ed, what I notice is that, so the apps, they're a little bit more generic. They're not one-to-one. There's not that real personal connection.
Yeah.
However, and that's why maybe your special ed child will not have that mode of communication, because special ed teachers, they tend to be more personal with their parents. They have their parents on speed dial, more so, like, so you'll get a text more in the moment that you're needed, or if they need to share something with you in the moment, you'll more get a text. A lot of teachers who are special ed teachers, they prefer to be more personal than going through the apps. However, whether you're a general ed or a special ed, if you have a general ed or a special ed, whatever mode of communication that works best for you, use it. Right. And communicate with the teacher. If you know you're not going to respond to those things that's coming through the app, let your teacher know, I will not be responding, because they'll be saying, oh, I sent you this, I sent you this, I sent you this, but you're not checking it. It's like you're getting an email, but you're not checking your email, so you don't know. So make sure you let your teacher know what mode of communication you will be using to communicate, because you might have several options. What you do, you let the teacher know which one. So that means you don't have to worry about you missed an email, or you didn't get a text, or you didn't get on that app, right?
Yeah. For me, it's emails, text messages, but I know that many of the teachers like to write in agendas. So now I have been, as they get older, it's more of agendas, and they're more responsible. They come home with papers now that they have to hand to me and I have to sign. So it's different every year as they get older.
And it will be different too based on the teacher, because the teacher is also going to choose mode of communication they prefer to communicate with parents as well. So it's just a meeting of the minds. So the teacher will say, oh, I like to send text messages, and the parent be like, but I like to get emails. And then at that point, that's when y'all talk about, okay, what would work better for what. And that's why communication, the tone needs to be set from day one, right? So everybody can be on the same page. Say that again.
Thank you for saying that, because I actually do prefer email. I like to have my threads. And this year we've been getting a lot of paper, and, once it's signed, she keeps the copy. I don't have a copy. And so I'm like, thinking back, like, what was that week like? So I think I need to have a conversation.
Yeah,
and just say, if you could just email me.
Here's the other thing, though. If you're using email, you don't want to be writing an epistle. Because what I've noticed too with emails is that the meaning sometimes get lost, or the tone gets very lost.
Yeah.
So if it gets to the point wherein it needs to be an epistle, it needs to be long, it's probably time for you to reach out and say, hey, we need to have a phone conversation.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So if it's going to be a long old email, no. Say, hey, when can we schedule a phone conversation? And let the teacher tell you. Chances are it's going to be after school hours or before school hours that they can do a conversation with you on phone. And I did not realize, and I don't know how it is with schools in different school districts and across the country, but guys, teachers, oh my God, sometimes they don't even have time to use the restroom. You wouldn't even think about it, like, because they can't leave their students. So they have to schedule their restroom breaks, because there has to be somebody in the classroom at all times. So they can't leave their kids to go to the restroom. So they have to, so if they need to go to the restroom and there's nobody, they have to wait till somebody can come to give them a break to go to the restroom. And it wasn't until I had a teacher ask me one time, can you stay with the kids while I run to the restroom? I'm like, oh my goodness, this is hard. It's a really hard job.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Another thing, teachers rarely get lunch. They rarely get lunch because, especially when it's a special needs class, the teacher doesn't really have a real designated lunchtime, because they have to be with their kids during the kids' lunchtime.
Yep.
And then by the time the kids transition back in class, just maybe a few minutes, like, teachers don't get to really like sit there and they have, teachers are amazing.
They're so amazing. I read this post the other day, and it said that teachers should be paid what babysitters and nannies get paid, because babysitters and nannies make so much more than an actual teacher. And it
really
blows my mind. Oh yes, if they were to, I think the stats came out to over $100,000 if they got. I mean, they get paid $30 an hour. That's a starting rate for a nanny or a babysitter now.
Wow.
So think about that.
It's time for teachers to get a raise. I'm advocating for that.
Yeah, me too. Like, they need the stars and the sun. They're amazing people. They volunteer to do this. I would never.
So guys, just set the tone, choose your strategy for your day-to-day communication. Now, a lot of teachers, I see them writing in the agenda books. It's a lot of work, because at the end of the day, I see them writing and I'm like, oh my, they're trying to communicate to the parents, how the child's day was, and whether parents ask or not. I noticed the teachers, they write they tell the parents what happens. Like, they know it's an expectation. They know the parents want to know, and they definitely provide that information. Some teachers are more detailed than others.
Yes.
So if there's something specifically that you want to know about your child, tell the teacher so they can include that in their daily communication. Because there's no way the teacher can talk about your child's entire day and how they did on everything. So chances are they might be telling you things that you really don't even care about, right? So just make sure that you say, hey, this is what I care about. This is all you need to tell me. Just communicate so the teacher knows exactly what is of interest to you, what is of concern to you, what do you want to know every day. For some parents, it's like, how did the child eat? Right?
I was going to give that example. It's like, and I never get those reports back. And then his lunchbox always comes back empty because they throw it in the trash. So it's like, I really don't know how much you actually ate. So I'm like stuffing them before school and then after school because I'm so worried.
So that's what you need to do. You need to communicate with the teacher back in that agenda book and be like, all I need to know, or one of the most important thing I need to know
Did
is
he eat?
what did he eat? Because did he eat? Yeah, he ate, but he ate all the chips. He never touched that
Okay.
those chicken nuggets,
Okay.
right?
I hear
So
you.
just,
Yeah.
just be specific as to what you need, and you know that communication again, the tone is key. We want for the teachers to know, as parents, we want for the teachers to know that we're on their side. We trust that our children are with them, and we trust that they're doing the best with our children.
Right.
When it comes to special ed services, you can ask to talk to your speech therapist as well,
Right.
because speech is I know here in Georgia, speech is a program, right? So it's like it has its own goals, right? It
Yeah.
has its own different methodology of working with your child. Speech is different. However, do not ask your school based, I mean, do not ask your teacher how your child did in OT. OT is not a program. Here in Georgia, OT happens in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no such thing as how he did in OT today.
Right. Because he's
Because
not getting pulled out.
right, because we're not pulling them out of the classroom, and whatever we're working on in the classroom is pertaining to the teacher's objectives.
Right.
So the teacher might write and document in your notebook that they received OT therapy that day,
Right.
and the OT may have suggested using a large pencil. I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah.
However, there's no such thing as how is he doing in OT, because it's about how is he doing with his writing, how is he doing with staying in his seat. Those are things that the OT might be helping to support the teacher on, but it's the teacher who's taking that data. The OT is not taking that data on that. So when it comes to communicating with school personnel as it pertains to service providers, the speech therapist, yes, you can ask those questions. You can ask your speech therapist to tell you about how they're doing in speech, or you can ask for that communication to be happening. Be mindful, the speech therapist has over, God knows, 100 kids in that school, right? Because the speech therapist has a huge caseload. So you don't want to be too asking for too much. It's okay
Right.
once in a while to send a communication, but what I mean is don't do the daily thing, don't expect it daily like how you expect it, or don't expect it. Most students might get 2 days a week of speech, 2 or 3
Yeah.
days a week. Don't expect it every time they have speech for the speech therapist to necessarily send you communication. However, periodic communication is fine for you to ask for as how your child is doing in speech. That's perfectly fine.
And I'd like to add that I always had my child's private speech therapist communicate with our school therapist to make sure that they were both working on, similar things so that we can set newer, different goals as he moves on. So
Okay.
that's always an option.
Yes, collaboration is fine.
Yeah.
To do that, if you want your private providers to communicate with your school providers, most school have a form that you have to fill out to give them permission. We can't talk to providers outside unless we get that information exchange form completed and signed by the parent.
Yeah.
So make sure that a lot of times what people do is just go ahead and sign it and provide the name, so that if the therapists at school feel like they really want to talk to the private therapist, then it's already in place.
Yeah,
So,
what I do is I send that information over in my welcome email. Or
okay.
not a welcome email, but like my get to know you
Introduction.
email.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, my intro email, and then I introduce both therapists via email, like, hey, here's so and so and here's so and so. They're both working with William. If there's anything that you guys need to talk about, just feel free to send it in this thread. I'm very big about keeping threads.
Yeah, well, yeah, threads are good because that's where you have the history and you know what you spoke about.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's nothing, whatever works for you, that's what you're gonna go with,
Sure.
whatever works for you. Um, Now with special ed comes IEP meetings, and this is a big one. I'm gonna have to do a whole show on preparing for IEP meetings. What is an IEP? What's in there? That is very, very communication based, like the whole IEP process. Because think about it, guys, your whole school year is your IEP, right? IEP is your individualized education plan. So everything that's written in that IEP has to be carried out through a whole year. An IEP goes for a year, right? So there's a lot of things to communicate about, and when it comes to the IEP process. So tonight I'm not going to go through what we need to communicate about for the IEP process, but what I would say is, if you know you have an IEP meeting coming up, be prepared with your questions. Know where your child is in terms of how they're already doing, so that when you go to the IEP, that's where you're going in to make a plan for another whole year, what your trajectory is, like where you want to take your child and where you see the teacher taking your child. So you want to definitely go in prepared, have your notes, and as Jen always say, have your data.
Have your data. No, but I also would recommend, so our Cecelia is coming up and you and I need to get together and talk about that in person because he's going to middle school. But yes. Yeah, so it's a huge one. But what I like to do before those meetings, because it's in a weird place. It's like we haven't hit our 9 weeks yet, and I also don't have the date. Like I don't have information as to how he's doing academically. So I always like to schedule a temperature check, is what I call it, with our group of teachers, and just ask them, math, how's he doing? That way I know what kind of goals or what my baseline should be. As far as academics, because I know that they try to focus a lot on behaviors, but I do have I expect the kids to do well.
Okay, so okay, now for the child who has a different teacher for math, a different teacher for language arts, it's always best to communicate with who the case manager is, and have the case manager try to get all that information, because it's a lot to try to get with the math teacher, get with the language arts teacher, get with the science teacher, social studies. So get with the case manager beforehand and do that temperature check that Jen spoke about, which is just get an idea of how your child is doing in each area, so that you can know when you get to the IEP meeting. Because when you get to the IEP meeting, all those teachers are not going to be in the IEP meeting. You might have one of the teachers in the IEP meeting, along with the special ed teacher and case manager, right? So it's important that you touch base, you get the information as much as possible about the other classes, and then when you get to the IEP meeting, where to gear the conversation, how to set goals, what to look forward to, what to drop, what to change.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We ended up graduating from speech and OT in our last IEP.
Oh,
So,
very nice. Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah.
And I'm so happy that you said that too, because a lot of times parents don't understand if the therapist is saying your child no longer needs our services, that's a good thing.
Yes. Yes.
That's a really good thing. A lot of parents, they feel like they're losing something because we're saying that the child no longer needs our services. It's actually a very good thing to hear, that the child doesn't need those services, because at the end of the day, an OT is in every classroom. So if your child is not getting direct services anymore, you don't have to worry, because if something comes up that might be a slight issue or something, the OT is always there for the teacher to say, hey, I noticed Johnny was writing great, but now his writing looks sloppy. What's going on? The OT is not going to say, oh, he doesn't get OT anymore, I can't answer that. No, it doesn't work that way. We're going to be there. We're going to help the teacher and say, hey, all right, I noticed that you're making him write while he's laying on the floor, and that doesn't really work for him. Right. Or, whatever the thing may be, the OT, and a quick fix, and we're back on track for the most part. So yeah, so don't worry about your child, the therapist saying your child no longer needs the services. So kudos to your son.
Thank you. He was really proud, very proud, and he liked that he wasn't being pulled out anymore, because he always felt like he was missing out. So
yes,
I feel like it was the best thing for him, and I'm really proud of him.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
So yeah, and guys, if you have an IP meeting where you really, because IP meetings, especially for parents who are new to special ed,
yeah,
sometimes the meetings can look so overwhelming, because you walk into the room and you have 9 people sitting around a table, and then it's you as the parent, and all they're going to be talking about is your child, the good, the bad, the indifferent, everything about your child. If you are a parent that's overwhelmed, it's okay. You can always bring a friend, an advocate to a meeting. You can't bring your lawyer without telling the school you're bringing a lawyer. And it's always good to let the staff know who is coming ahead of time. We've had where people show up with their friends. It's not an issue if it's a friend, but when it's a legal issue, give the school the opportunity to be able to defend themselves. So you need to let the school know you're bringing. As a matter of fact, if you brought an attorney, they would have to table the meeting and reschedule it.
And then they have to bring their own attorneys, I think.
And then they have to bring their own attorneys. So, yeah. So, yeah, just.
But an IEP is a legal document, guys. So, just be very prepared in advance. It is a legal document.
Right. The IEP is a legal document, and it's also changeable. So not because you have an IEP and you're like, oh, I made an IEP, I have to stick with it till the end of the year. No. Again, communication, right? A parent has the right to call an IEP meeting at any time they feel like they need an IEP meeting. So if you really feel like this is something you want to address, communicate with the teacher and you will get a new IEP meeting. It's your right. And the teacher more than likely will be happy to meet with you to change anything that needs to be changed, or and remember, we're a team. Parents not like, parents don't get to dictate what's in there. It has to be agreed upon by the team. So not because you want something for your child means that you're going to be like, this is what I want and this is what I want and this is what. It doesn't work that way. It's a team where we plan together and we brainstorm together, we collaborate together, and we do together as a team what we think is in the best interest of the child. So
I'd also like to say that these IEPs are already like the teachers have them in place, or not in place, but they have a pre one, if you will, like a proof one. I don't know how to
It's a draft.
A
They
draft.
do a
Okay,
draft.
they have, yes. And you can request for that draft ahead of time. And then you're able to, go in there, circle what you want taken out or write, what you want put in so that when it gets there, you're well prepared. But yes, they are drafts and you can request those documents well in advance.
Awesome. Yep. So we're going to have a podcast session on questions to ask during the IEP. We're going to talk about what each section of the IEP, because the IEP has a lot of sections. We're going to talk about what each section means. So we're going to go through that. I don't know which week we're going to do it yet, but
it
Jen
might be 2 parts though, because IEPs
really
are so long. Like it's like a 2-4-hour meeting.
It might take us. It might be a whole 4 hours, right, to really go through an IEP and talk about exactly what's in an IEP and help parents to understand the IEP and the jargon. Right, there's so much jargon that's in IEPs and so much abbreviations.
Yes. It's a whole nother language.
It's a whole nother language. So we're going to talk about that in another episode. So anything else that we can talk about setting the tone and how to communicate with teachers, Jen? I think this has been a great conversation tonight about how to start how to set the tone for communication.
Yeah. Sure. So what I would say is the best thing to do is for you to take charge in this relationship and initiate the conversations. Don't be intimidated by these teachers. They're there to support us. I mean, they did the work for so many years and then went on to keep on that profession. They didn't have to do this. They could have chose to be anything else, but this is what they're doing. So I would say just don't feel intimidated. Be prepared and set the tone, just initiate the conversation. Don't be shy.
Absolutely. And Jen and I would normally talk about kids with special needs, and most of the advice we give, it's kids with special needs, based on kids with special needs. However, if you are, even if your student is in regular ed, the communication still is important. Still very important. It's just that with special ed comes a little bit more because you have IEP meetings. See, the regular ed classes typically have
9 weeks.
What do they call it? Twice a year they do it.
New semesters?
Where they stop, they do school half day and the parents come in to talk to the teachers.
Early release?
It's early release days, but what do parent-teacher conferences?
Oh, yes.
Parent-teacher conferences. Talk to your teachers about anything that is going on if you're in regular ed. Communicate with your teachers during using those apps and attend your parent-teacher conferences. Because a lot of times, so especially like for kindergarten and first graders, this is a time wherein you're really finding out about your child's school skills, right? Your child's school readiness. So you want to be in it.
Not just that, though. I think emotional intelligence is very important. And so kind of like I like to ask questions like, is he getting along with everyone? Does he seem like he's shy? Like, should I start looking for therapy for, play therapy? Like, I ask those kinds of questions because I very much want my children to be confident, in whatever they do. And so I was very shy growing up, and I don't want that for them. So those are questions that it's not just about behavior for me. It's also about, their intelligence emotionally and whether they feel confident enough to walk up to someone and say, hey, do you want to kick a ball with me? Or do you want to play on the swings or whatever? I just, hope that they're not out in the corner by themselves.
Right. Yeah, Jen is right. So the concerns that you might have as a early parent, kindergarten,
developmental
concerns. it's not just about how well they read and write. It's also about their social skills, their social emotional skills, their behavior in the classroom. So those things are important as well. And I will tell you, parents, that a lot of times when we have children who will be struggling with learning, what we see first are those behavioral issues, those social emotional. We see those first before we recognize that they're having a hard time learning their letters and stuff.
Oh, 100%. My youngest child, the first things that I was getting is that he would run around the classroom. They couldn't get him to sit down to do anything. And that was a really big red flag. Like, is he scared? Is something going on? Or, and then I realized that he doesn't get it. That's the problem. And so, I was able to go. But yes, the first thing that I was getting back was that he wasn't playing well. His behavior was, concerning, and he was only in preschool. So it's really concerning.
Yes, communication. So I'm glad we were able to have this discussion tonight. So what I want to say, guys, is thank you again for joining us. And please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at SLR Insights, and follow us on Facebook at School Life Ready. And we will be here to support you guys. If you have any questions, if you need any more information on anything, you can also send an email to schoollifeready@gmail.com. So thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Whatever we do with our children, and whenever I work with children and families, I always keep in mind that I am not perfect, but I try to be as consistent and respectful as possible in how I do things. So tonight's takeaway is pick one small step to improve communication this week with your teacher. So just do something, because remember, it's little building blocks that you put together to build a house. So take little steps and little bites at everything that you do until you're doing more of it. What about you, Jen? What's your takeaway for tonight?
That we're not alone in this. We, parents, professionals, we're all doing the best that we can to help children become who they're meant to be. And we all just need to support each other. So
absolutely.
That's my takeaway.
Absolutely. And that's what Jen and I are here to do, to support all of you all out there who are listening and tuning in and getting information from us. We're here to support you. So until next week, y'all have a good week and take care of yourselves. Good night, y'all.
Bye.